Week 7 in college football. Two big games that we're going to recap. Let's start with Oregon getting beat 36-33 by the Washington Huskies. Ted, where do you want to start the conversation about this game? Do you want to start with how awesome Michael Penix is, or do you want to start the discussion with some of Dan Lanning's decision-making? Where do you want to go?
Can I start by saying that environment looked awesome?
It looked – I've always heard that place is very loud. It sounded very loud. It looked like a really tough place to play for Oregon. Now, they didn't do themselves any favors with those jerseys they showed up in. What in the world?
That was weird. Yeah,
if you're playing in a game that big, you got to have at least a hint of the school color in your jersey, in my opinion. Just a little green, a little yellow, just a splash here or there somewhere.
Everyone knows my opinion on this. Like, if you're in a game of that magnitude, you need to have the marketing, that the branding that you've worked the entire history of the program to build on full display, right? Whenever people turn the television to that channel, they should know instantly who's playing on the field with your uniforms, tradition. So, but they kind of don't have one. But yeah, that place was awesome. And Penix, say what you want, they came out against a really solid defense. It's really good on the line of scrimmage, and he was a stud, flat out. Played really, really well.
And I mean, he got hit quite a bit, especially in that second half. And it was clear he was playing through something, right? In the back half of that game, and it was really good. I got all kinds of respect for him playing through the pain he was playing through. And Odunze and Polk are both studs.
Yeah.
Right. And credit to Penix, right? Giving those guys a chance. But that was those guys going and making plays for him. Right. And that's why you've heard all the conversation about that wide receiver core, right? McMillan didn't even go really.
Yeah.
Now, they showed him on standing on the sideline a lot. He got a lot of camera time, but those guys getting those opportunities and then going and making plays, I thought that was kind of the difference in the game, was those two guys' ability, Polk and Odunze, when they absolutely needed them to go make plays, they did.
Yeah. Well, they went and made plays, and they needed every bit of it because Oregon was right there. And frankly, I had several opportunities, not necessarily to win it, but to put themselves in a much better position to win the football game. And I was kind of shocked by some of it.
Which decision, because there was 3 of them from Dan Lanning, right? So the one that a lot of people are discussing is a decision not to punt late in the fourth quarter, right? What was it, 4th and 3 from the plus 47? There's like 2:15, 2:16 on the clock, and they were up 33-29. Dude, I kind of was fine with them going for it there, right? Hey, you've got one play. If you convert, you win the game. Now, their defense had been playing really well for quite a stretch of time. If you pin them deep, is Penix able to get it done? I don't know. But what I hated was the play call. I mean, you go sprint out to the left with a right-handed quarterback. I don't know. That was strange, man. It's a strange play call in that moment.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand being aggressive, but I just, in my opinion, whenever you're up 4, you pin them deep. That's not even, there's not, in my mind, there's not even a reason to gamble right there. I get it. If you convert, then there's a good chance that the football game is over. And maybe if you tell yourself leading into the game, if we've got an opportunity and something shows up like that, we take it, we play aggressive. But I don't know. I know I was, barking at the TV. What are they doing? But the real one, like the main one to me, was taking the points before halftime.
It seems like that's the one that people are bothered by the most, right? And I think if Lanning could do it over again, and he said after the game, he was like, it's all on me. This game's on me. He took responsibility for it, which I always appreciate hearing from a head coach. But yeah, 4th and goal from the 3 with 6 seconds to go in the first half. And once again, I don't know if I even hated the decision to go for it there. I hated the play call. Sprint out again in a one-man route. There's one option. I don't understand in that moment how you think your best play call is a sprint out with a one-man route.
My guess is they're thinking they're trying to get him on the edge where he can pull it down and run for it if it's not there. But I don't know. It's halftime. Just take the 3 points.
And you're getting the ball out of the half.
Yeah, just take the 3 points. I mean, it's an unnecessary risk at that point in the game. I mean, you've put yourself in a great position where you can take the points. Awesome. Great. You head into halftime on a positive note. I mean, even if you convert it and get a touchdown, I mean, that's a nice play, but just got another half of football to play. I guess to me, it's just, I was shocked at that. I'm sitting there saying, watching the team, I say, what is he doing? Would someone please tell him he doesn't need to go for this right here? Shocked, but I get the mindset, especially whenever you're still trying to develop kind of a culture and an aggressive mentality with your football team and trying to show those guys that you're putting your trust in them to really, be able to execute under pressure. I mean, I get all of that, but don't get in the way. Like you're supposed to be there, like to kind of bring a little bit of perspective to the situation and say, I know everyone's all amped up on the road to get a touchdown here, but we don't need it. Let's just take the 3 and we'll be fine.
Yeah. So they got no points there. They also went for it on 4th and 3 from the 8-yard line with like 3.5 minutes to go in the third. Incomplete, no points there. So, you end up losing a game by 3 points where you miss a field goal on the last play of the game. And yeah, there's going to be a lot of discussion about those decisions. Now, it did feel like in that, kind of that late third quarter, man, it felt like Oregon had all the momentum in this game.
Yeah.
I mean, Troy Franklin was making plays, right? Some huge chunk plays. Well, Jordan James bullies the entire Washington defense. And it was 33-29. And then Oregon got that fantastic goal line stop, which, by the way, maybe put the ball in Michael Penix's hands in that situation. I know he was banged up. I don't care. He's your star player. Give him the football. What are we doing? But credit Washington for getting the stops they had to get. And then Penix said they almost scored too fast at the end of the game. That was pretty efficient. 2 plays, touchdown.
Yeah, that was wild. It was interesting. That you're right. Bucky Irving he's a beast.
He's a stud, man. I am. Now there's one. I don't know why. I don't even think it bothered me, but go back and watch that game. I don't know why Oregon's running backs stand the way that they stand. When they're lined up, they like stand straight up and down. I want to talk to Oregon's running back coach about why they do that. It's just a random observation from the game. I was like, why are they Why is he standing like that? I said it over and over and over again. That guy is really fun to watch. You talk about elusive. That's I didn't chart it or anything, but did the first guy ever get him?
It didn't appear so. Like
Oh my
some of
goodness.
those, like he was running through like 3 or 4 people for 10 or 12 yards. Um, I just thought of something when you were talking about the running back standing there. And I think that they had ditched this well before you played against them. But Kansas State back in the day used to have their tight end, like the inline tight end, like he's on the ball, part of the core, would stand straight up and down with their hands on their hips like this. Did you ever see that?
I don't remember that.
It's crazy.
Straight psycho move.
Crazy. I guess like the theory was something about messing with the safeties read on the hi hat, like if he's releasing for a pass or run. But it's funny. I'll see if I can track down a picture of that. It's weird.
Yeah, that is. I mean that's kind of what I felt like. Oregon. They were trying to do something. I would love to hear the explanation, but they're like standing straight up and down at running back. It's just so strange to watch. You got the only other thing I have on that game was those look like the best two teams in the Pac-12. And I would expect to see them. Now I know that they both got tough schedules the rest of the way, but I would expect to see those two teams playing in the Pac-12 title game, or at least that's how it looked to me.
Yep. Nope. I agree. Um, Two really good quarterbacks. Um, Oregon, I feel like is pretty daggum salty on both lines of scrimmage, offensively, defensively. Great running game. Yeah, I'm with you. I expect both of those teams to meet again in the winter to make the college football playoff.
I
Depending if they can make the rest of the. I know a lot of those teams they're going to play some really tough games down the stretch here.
yeah, I don't know if this makes any sense at all, but I feel like they've coached too much of Bo Nix out of Bo Nix. I don't need Bo Nix to be like a pocket passer.
Yeah.
I need him to I
A
need
little
him
more
to
aggressive.
play with a certain amount of reckless abandon for his body. Like just a certain amount. I don't know. I don't know, he just felt a little stiff, like a little robotic. I don't know. Maybe I am.
Well, I think that after he went down last year, it changed their season.
No doubt.
So I'm guessing there's like you have to know when to flip the switch, right? When you're going on the road to play a top 10 team in Washington, you need to flip the switch. We need Bo Nix, right? Whenever you're playing Cal at home, okay, deliver the football to some playmakers, be a little bit more robotic, protect yourself a little bit more whenever you do start to move. But like you're doing that in those moments. So whenever you play a top 10 team like Washington, you can sell out.
That's it. I was just kind of thinking about, the performance Dylan Gabriel put together against Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Like and how he played that game. And I don't know, Bo Nix just seemed like it was lacking a little spice. He was almost too calm, too
Yeah.
stoic. Like every time they showed him on camera, like he was just stone faced, like all good. I don't know. It felt like something was, and maybe I'm reaching, but it just felt like a little something was missing for me
Yeah.
from Bo Nix in that game.
No, I'm with you.
But hey, I think we'll see those two teams play again. All right. Moving on to the next game. The USC Trojans went to South Bend and got smacked 48-20. Let's start here, Ted. I don't know if this is an overreaction or not, but Caleb Williams cannot win the Heisman Trophy because of how he played in this football game.
No,
Just can't happen.
it's over.
Yeah.
So it was going to be incredibly difficult, anyways, just because there's that kind of almost unwritten rule, to win 2 Heisman trophies. But it's just there's no way it's going to be justified after that. Just flat out, it's done.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he was as bad as I've seen him earlier in that game. overthrows the tight end for for an interception, right? Notre Dame makes him pay, goes and scores a touchdown. Threw another bad interception deep in their own territory. Notre Dame goes and scores a touchdown, right? 17-3, and he was the main reason why. Bad decisions with the football, bad throws. Mm-hmm. And, his third interception of the first half, that gave Notre Dame the ball at about midfield. They go and score a touchdown. I mean, it was 24-3, and that game felt over at that point in time. But credit to just a tremendous job by Notre Dame's defense. It's not like Caleb Williams was making these throws sitting comfortably in the pocket.
Right.
Right. He was uncomfortable. They were in his face. Now, he still made some bad decisions, but credit to Notre Dame for getting that type of pressure on him. And then when he made mistakes with the football, they absolutely made him pay. Right. They picked him off, and then the offense went and scored touchdowns. That's how you blow a team out in a game of this magnitude.
Yeah, and you could tell that, up to this point, USC they've had a light schedule. And you could tell the difference it makes when the quality of defensive players that are chasing Caleb Williams around, that makes a big difference. A lot of those sacks that they ended up getting on him and hitting him and getting him to the ground, a lot of those in previous games, those situations, he's able to escape and turn it into a big play. But, the step up in caliber of player that he's up against, he just could not get out of a lot of those situations. And a lot of times because he's used to being able to get out of it, he didn't throw the ball away, and he took some really bad sacks.
Yeah. He was not good. Like, can USC fans really even be mad at their defense? I mean, it was the offense put them in horrible spots. Now, Notre Dame had like 251 yards of offense in this game and scored 48 points.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, Sam Hartman completed 13 passes. He had 126 yards passing, and they scored 48 points.
Yeah, if you just caught the score as it scrolled across and said, USC's defense does it to them again, you kind of missed the picture of this one. And the feeling we had around here watching the game was the defense is finally going to be like, whew, at least it's not on us this weekend, which is going to be hard to convince people whenever there's 48 points that were put up on the board. But, I mean, I agree with that sentiment. That the score leads you to believe that the defense was horrible again, but really it was, the offense essentially gifting them 21 points.
Yeah.
And then you've got some other mess ups in there too.
Yeah. And I guess the one thing you could put on USC's defense is it felt like in the second half, anytime USC was getting some momentum, right, there were two huge sequences, right? USC goes and scores, cut it to 24-13 about midway through the third, right? That was on the option play, right, where he pitches it to Lloyd. He takes it to the house. I thought the way that Notre Dame answered with that big play to Chris Tyree, right, from Hartman, thought that was huge, right? Extended it back out to 31-13. USC got a lot of an infusion of energy, right? Zachariah Branch, hell of a punt return. Yeah, good to see him back out there. That dude's electric.
He is crazy good, crazy.
But Caleb Williams, after that, he finds Brendan Rice for the touchdown. They cut it to 31-20. And what does Notre Dame do? They house the kickoff, right? Yep. Jadarian Price goes 99 to extend it back out to 38-20. So when it felt like USC was grabbing any type of momentum in the second half, Notre Dame just killed it. And that was, I mean, that's what you have to do in big games like that. And yeah, credit to that football team. And that was a big win for Marcus Freeman, man.
Huge. He needed that. He needed that. And I think that you've seen him, like some of those responses on the sideline whenever they'd get a sack or a big play. That was cool to see. That was fun to see him in a good spot there.
Yeah. And now, luckily for USC, they've got a get right game coming up next week. Just kidding. They've got Utah.
I was about to say,
they've got Utah. Then they have Washington and Oregon and UCLA also left on the schedule.
Whew.
I mean, 4 losses with the way that offensive line played. Notre Dame worked that group. I mean, they beat them up. Now, 3 losses, 4 losses. I think that is definitely in play with the remaining schedule they've got. Right? They got some physical football teams left on their schedule. Now, they still got Caleb Williams, right? And I don't think he's going to play as poorly as he did very often. But if that O-line can't protect him, it could be a long back half of the season for USC.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see kind of how that team responds because record-wise, they've been in a good spot. But, there's been, with the way the defense has been going and just the media surrounding USC hasn't been very good. And you throw a loss in there, a big loss, like you took to Notre Dame, and what the rest of the season looks like, you got to start to wonder, how good is this group going to stay together down the stretch before they splinter? Because these aren't a bunch of guys that came in the same recruiting classes together and developed a bunch of culture and chemistry as they've moved through. This is a bunch of guys that have been kind of thrown in the mix together. We'll see how that works. It could be something where they pull together tighter as a group, or it could be where they splinter and you start to see some issues.
Yeah. And that's where this game, there's a lot for them to still play for, right? If they run the table the rest of the way and their only loss is to Notre Dame on the road, maybe they're still in the college football playoff, right? I would assume they would be if they were a 1-loss Pac-12 champion. But, man, you look at that remaining schedule, it feels like whatever their goals were this season, they're going to have – I mean, it's going to be tough to reach those, right? Because I think Washington and Oregon are definitely better football teams than USC. So I don't know. I'm with you. There could be we'll see how that group sticks together.
Yeah. They're going to have to beat Utah and UCLA are as good, at least, as USC. Oregon and Washington are both better. So
agreed.
You're going to have to play really good in order to run that table and have some help.
No doubt. All right.